Hello everyone, in this video we are going to talk about parts of similar triangles. The first part of the lesson is about special segments of similar triangles such as altitudes, angle bisectors, and medians. So when we have similar triangles like triangle ABC and triangle XYZ, the statement is given right here. Their corresponding altitudes, angle bisectors, and medians are going to be proportional. So if you look at these two triangles, their angle bisectors are given. I know these segments are the angle bisectors because they cut the angles in half. They cut the vertices in half. Now, they must be proportional. So BD and YW must be proportional. That's going to be equal to the scale factor of these two triangles, which is 10/8. Now, this belongs to all the corresponding parts of the triangle, such as AB and XY, because if you look at this similarity statement, AB and XY, they correspond to each other because they are in the same spot of the similarity statements, which is the first and second letter of the statements. So they correspond to each other. Let's go over it again. AB is 24, XY is X unit. So AB is 24, XY is lowercase x. Now we are going to just focus on this part right here. Do cross multiply. 10 times x is 10x. 8 times 24 is 192. If we divide each side by 10, we get x equals 19.2. So let's go over what we just did. First, we figured out the scale factor. It was 10/8. Remember, the scale factor must be equal to the ratio between all of the corresponding parts of these two triangles. Like if the scale factor is 10/8 right here, it must be equal to 24/x because 24 and x correspond to each other as well. That's how we set up our proportion and then solve it to find the value of x. Here we have two more examples about the same concept. What we have is the altitudes of these two triangles, 42 and x. Remember, these two triangles are similar because they have angle similarity. This angle has one of the signs, this one has two of them. This one has one, this has two. That means the triangles are similar because of angle similarity criteria. And the similarity, the similarity ratio is equal to 42/x. So 42/x must be the similarity ratio, and it must be equal to the ratio of the other corresponding parts of these triangles, such as 45. Now let's focus on this side. It is between 90 degrees and this sign, right? So look at the other triangle. Here is 30 units. It is between 90 degrees, that's right, that's the right angle, and two of these sides. So these two sides are corresponding to each other as well, 45 and 30. So if we do cross multiply, we can figure out what x is, but before that, I want to simplify 45/30 by dividing each number by 5. 45 divided by 5, or I'm going to divide them by 15. 45 divided by 15 is 3. 30 divided by 15 is 2. So now I can do cross multiply. 42 times 2 and x times 3. 3x equals 84. If we divide each side by 3, we get x equals 28. So let's move on to the next example. For this example here, what we're going to do is going to be the same. First, we need to know that the triangles are similar. So what we need is either one of these similarity statements, angle similarity statement, or side, or side angle side. So if you look at the triangles carefully, we have these two angles and these two. So the angles, two of the angle pairs are the same. That means because of angle similarity statement, the triangles are similar, which means we can write a proportion by using the scale factor, or similarly the proportion, whatever you want to name it. So remember, if triangles are similar, the altitudes of the triangles are going to be proportional. X is the first altitude, 7 is the second altitude of these two triangles. X and 7 must be proportional. And this proportion, x over 7 must be equal to the ratio of another corresponding sides. So across from two of these symbols, we have 10 from the first triangle. Across from the same symbol, we have 8 in the second triangle. So now, if we multiply these two, 8x is equal to 70. So we divide each side by 8 to get the value of x. Equal to 8.75. The second part of the lesson is about triangle angle bisector theorem. This theorem basically tells us if you have an angle bisector in a triangle like this SU segment here, it divides a triangle into two proportional parts. So there is at least two ways to write down a proportion for these kind of triangles. I'm going to explain it on the example. The first way of writing the proportion is 15. So first step is you need to know that these two correspond to each other and x and 20 correspond to each other. At this point, here's the first way of writing it. 15 over 30 equals x over 20. So the left leg, you can like imagine the left leg divided by right leg equals the left side of the base over right side of the base. And the second way of writing the proportion is 15 and x are the sides that belongs to one of the triangles, and their corresponding parts are 34, 15 and 24x. So both of these are going to give you the right answer. So let's solve these to see what we are going to get. 30x equals 15 times 20. So if we divide each side by 30, 15 and 30 will be simplified. We will get 2. 20 over 2 is 10. X would be equal to 10. So you can use a calculator and then see if the work is right. For the second proportion, I'm going to do the same, but first I'm going to simplify 30 and 20 by dividing each of these by 10. 20 divided by 10 is 2. So 15 times 2 is 30. X times 3 is 3x. Divide each side by 3. So we get x equals 10. It doesn't matter how you set up your proportion actually, as long as you get the answer right. That's all for this example, I guess. Let me see. Yeah, we were supposed to find the value of x, so we are done with that. Here is the last two examples of the video. What we have is the same thing. We have an angle bisector that helps us to write a proportion to solve this. So remember 15 and 9, A and 3, they kind of go together. You can either write them in the numerator and in the denominator, or you can write them side by side. So what I'm going to do is writing them as 15 over A equals 9 over 3. So cross multiply, 9 times A equals 15 times 3, which is 45. Divide each side by 9, we get A equals 5. For the next example, we are going to do the same thing because what we have is an angle bisector. First step, write down the missing sides if you can. So the whole segment is given as 46 point n and part of it is given n. So if we subtract these two, we can find the measure of the segment. But we cannot actually. Instead, you're gonna write 46.n minus 46.8 minus n for this orange segment. I know if I subtract it, I will get the measure of it, but I cannot subtract actually, so that's why I'm gonna leave it like that. Now, I can write down the proportion to solve it. So I'm gonna put these two together and then these two together. 46.8 minus n divided by 36 equals n over 42. So next step is cross multiplication. 42 times 46.8 minus n equals 36 times n. So these two numbers can be simplified, 42 and 36. If we divide each one of them by 6, this one becomes 7. 36 divided by 6 is 6. Now the right hand side stays the same. 6 times n is equal to 6n. The right hand side, we are gonna distribute 7 into these two. 7 times 46.8 is equal to 327.6 minus 7 times n is 7n. So if we add 7n on each side, the right hand side becomes 13n, left hand side stays the same, 327.6. At this point, we are going to divide each side by 13. So n would be equal to 25.2. That's all for this lesson, guys. Please comment below if you have any question, and I will see you in another video. Thanks for watching.